Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to this full showcase of the texture pack BetterVanillaBuilding. This showcase will show all the textures in the pack starting on version 2.1. So every version that comes after this, the textures will not be in this showcase and they will be in separate videos, which you can find in the end screen or in the links in the description. Now, before we start with the showcase, it's important to mention that a lot of these textures aren't fully made by me. Most of them are edits from the original Minecraft 1.14 and 1.13 textures, which have all been slightly edited to fit the game better and fit better in buildings and such. So I don't take full credit for everything you see in this video. Not all textures are made by me, but all of the textures I'm going to show you have been slightly changed by me myself. So yes, I don't take full credit for all of the textures, only for the edits I've made. Now, let's get started with our showcase. So today we're going to start off at the stones. As you can see here, we have regular stone, granite, diorite, and andesite. At the current moment in this pack, if you have andesite, it's a varying texture of both andesite cobblestone and andesite regular stone. And the same with diorite and andesite. Now, the polished versions, polished granite, polished diorite, and andesite, have a brick texture. And this was done so that they fit better with the stone bricks. Now, I'll quickly switch the texture pack on and off on every block so that you can see the edits. And here's how the textures currently look in the game. This is version 1.14.2 of Minecraft. Um, yes, these are the textures in the normal game. You can see the granite, diorite, and andesite. They are, of course, of this texture instead of the stone texture. You can also not get a cobble texture for all of these blocks, and the polished blocks, of course, aren't bricks in the normal game. Alright, moving on to the next set of blocks, we arrive at grass and dirt blocks. The grass block has a grass texture on the top and the sides, and not on the bottom. The Crazed Dirt and Dirt both have little edits which remove the small pebbles that you can usually see in the dirt blocks in the regular game. Potsil has a slight edit to its texture. The path block has been darkened, and the path texture is also on the bottom of the block, if you may want to use it as a roof. I don't know if anyone would, but you can now. And farmland, as well as the dirt, has its pebbles removed. Okay, moving on. Here we have wood blocks, and these are the new Better Vanilla Building textures that have just been added in update 2.1, which is the update I'm currently playing in. Now, in this version of the pack, we are using the 1.14 wood texture, only with edits to make the colors a bit better. The biggest change to the wood in Better Vanilla Building is, of course, acacia, which isn't orange but has a kind of grayish look. Also, the jungle is a bit more pink than it would be in the game, and oak is a lot more orange and vibrant than it would be in the game. And last off, we have birch, which actually hasn't been changed. This is the 1.14 texture, so this has not been made by me. The birch log, though, has been made by me. As you can see, I've removed all of the black spots on it. And you might notice that all of the logs have a bit of black around the corner. Also, the jungle log, usually it's sideways, but I've decided to put it up straight so that it mixes better with the other logs. Now, here's what the wood looks like in Minecraft 1.14. As you can see, of course, the acacia is orange. Dark oak is a lot brighter in this version, as well as spruce. And of course, the oak isn't as orange in this version. So you can clearly see all of the changes that have been made to the woods. Remember, the texture of the woods is still the same in the pack, it's only the color that have changed. Alright, moving on to the next part, we arrive at the sand. As you can see, the regular sand block, I've made it a bit more yellow. And then the red sand, in the game it's this very bright red color, it doesn't really look like sand. So to be able to mix these blocks better, I have made the color a bit more orangey, and you can see that they look pretty good next to each other. And in the game itself, these blocks don't look good next to each other at all. Now we have sandstone blocks. As you can see, I've removed the cobble texture from the sandstone. Then this block hasn't been changed actually, but the brick has. In the game itself, this block isn't the brick texture, but in the pack it is, and again for the same reason as with the granite bricks, to make them mix better with the other blocks. Now red sandstone, same thing. The cobble texture has been removed and we have the brick blocks. And as you can see, these bricks look pretty good next to each other. And that's exactly why I've chosen to add so many brick blocks in the game. Okay, we're looking at the game's textures now. As you can see, these blocks have this cobbled texture. These blocks haven't actually been changed in the pack a lot, except for the color, of course. And as you can see, these blocks don't have bricks. Okay, moving on, we have arrived at leaf blocks. Now, as you can see, the leaves have a bit of a bushy effect to them. I think it looks quite cool on trees themselves. As you can see, it extends out a bit over here, which make the tree look a bit more like bushy instead of these straight lines. Okay, so moving on, we arrive at bricks. Okay, we have bricks, red nether bricks, and nether bricks. Now, there's not much to tell about these textures, so I'm just going to switch back and forth to the game and the texture pack so that you can see the difference for yourself. Okay, here are the Minecraft official textures. You can see the nether brick is a lot brighter, red nether brick is a lot less red, and the bricks themselves have these very whitish grayish lines in between, which make it a bit hard to build with them because like the contrast is very high. And in the texture pack, all three of these blocks mix pretty well together, so you can use them in a lot of different builds. Okay, moving on, we have chests. I think you can pretty clearly see what has been changed on this, so I'm not gonna switch back and forth. So let's move on to sticky pistons. Sticky pistons have the side of the block is now also sticky textured instead of only the top. Okay, moving on to ores. Here we have three Minecraft official textures from 1.14, or at least from the test packs of the 1.14 textures, because not all of the textures you're gonna see in this pack have been taken from 1.14. Some of them have also been from the 1.14 preview packs, if you know what I'm talking about. Only the emerald is a texture pack block. As you can see, it's the diamond texture only in green, and I think it looks pretty nice. Now we have Obsidian, which has also been taken from one of the preview packs of 1.14, but it has had some slight edits. Netherrack is also a 1.14 block with also some edits. It's a lot more orangey instead of red, and the soul sand hasn't been changed. Now I'll quickly switch back and forth so you can see all of these blocks. Okay, here we are in Minecraft 1.14. You can see in the official Minecraft 14 version, the gold texture has been switched to fit the diamond texture. In the pack, I've decided to keep the gold texture from one of the preview packs of 1.14. Now you can see the netherrack is a bit more red instead of orange. And the obsidian has also been changed in 1.14. But like I said before, the version I am using in the pack is one of the preview versions of 1.14. So those are all of these blocks. Okay, moving on, we arrive at some crafting blocks. The top of the crafting table has had some color changes. The furnace actually doesn't have changed, or it does, but I'm going to show you that later. And the enchanting table, the side texture, is the obsidian texture. The top I've changed the color of this red blanket that's over the enchanting table. Okay, now we arrive at the lighting. As you can see here, the redstone lamp, the glowstone, the torch, they all have the same type of color for lighting, as well as, and I'm going to show you that now, the furnace is using the same colors. Some of these lighting colors, they mix very well with other colors in the pack. As you can see, the glowstone mixes very well with the red sandstone and all of those kind of things. So that's the overall lighting color. Okay, now we're looking at the 1.14 textures. As you can see, the color of the furnace, the color of the glows and then the color of the torch are all very different. Also, you may notice that the fire particles from furnace and from a torch have also been changed in the pack. And these fire particles also apply to lava and other blocks that give the fire particles. Okay, moving on, we have connected glass and unconnected panes. Um, Also, the panes have the stripe texture and the glass doesn't. Now, this was done because some people may not like to have connected glass, and in some situations, you may want glass to not be connected. So, you can use panes. If you don't want the glass to be connected, you can use the regular blocks if you do want them to be connected. So, let's move on. And here, there's some more vegetation. We have the cactus, a melon, pumpkin, and hay bales. Um, the melon is a lot greener than in the game itself. The cactus, of course, has a very different green color to it. And the pumpkin is a bit more orange, and the hay bales have had their color changed. So I'm gonna switch back so you can see everything very clearly. Okay, here we are in Minecraft's official textures. You can see the melon has a very different texture. Pumpkin is a bit less orange, and the hay bale is a lot more white, and the hay bale is yellow instead of brownish. And of course, the cactus has a very different color. Okay, moving on, we have some doors and trapdoors. Over here, there haven't been a lot of changes, only some color corrections. And of course, the acacia is gray instead of orange. Other than that, not much to show here, so let's move on. We have two flowers that have their texture changed, and more flower changes will be coming in the future, so be on the lookout for that. On this one, I'm also not going to switch back and forth because there's not much to show again. Now we have some of the nether blocks. The magma has had some slight change in the stones in between. So they now mix the color of the netherrack in the pack. The red nether brick we've seen before, and the nether wart block also has some slight changes. Moving on to prismarine. Prismarine has had some color changes. It's a lot more bluish. Other than that, the texture hasn't been changed. Okay, now we have some redstone items as well as the iron bars. They have a couple of slight changes. They're a bit smoother than they would normally be, but it's not really noticeable. Okay, now we have some redstone changes. As you can see, the redstone torch has a bit of a different color, as well as the torches, of course, on the comparators. You can see the same color applies to rails and the activator rail, and the iron bars on the rails and the gold bar also have had some very slight changes, but again, it's not really noticeable. I'm gonna quickly switch back and forth so you can see the change in the redstone color. You can see the redstone is a lot brighter in the game itself, and the color changes to the rails aren't really noticeable if you don't look closely. Also, the iron bars, as you can see in the pack, they're a lot smoother than in the game. Okay, moving on, we have lily pads, which have varying textures in the pack. These have been inspired from another texture pack, so they may look familiar. I forgot the name of the texture pack, so I'm sorry for that. Okay, moving on, we have glazed terracotta and concrete powder. Now, the glazed terracotta have had a lot of changes. Um, the main thing is that orange glazed terracotta and every other terracotta, but I'm just gonna take the orange for as an example. Um, like if we're talking about orange terracotta in the game itself, it has orange and blue and a lot of different colors in it. But in the pack, it's just orange because that's what it's called. It's called an orange block, so it should be orange. And the same applies to the white, magenta, the blue. They all just have one color instead of a lot of colors like they have in the game. So I'm gonna quickly switch back and forth so you can see like how many things have changed. Okay, here we are in the game's textures, and as you can see, it's a lot to take in. There's a lot of colors here, and the blocks do look cool with all of their colors, like the blue one. It looks pretty cool with all of its colors, but the bad thing is that it makes it very hard to build with this block because there's just so many colors and it's so hard to mix them with something else. Now looking at the concrete powder, you can see like some of the blocks like the pink are very rough. The green has all of these dots, as well as the yellow. In the texture pack, they just all have one color, very soft. There's not a lot of texture in them. Now I'll show you some of the benefits of the glazed terracotta in this pack, and it mainly comes down to mixing blocks. If we take the white terracotta and we take some diorite, you can see it mixes very well with the diorite texture because the colors have been adjusted to fit each other. And that's what I really worked on when updating these textures, that the colors would fit with the other colors in the pack. You can also see this with the blue terracotta. If we take some eyes, um, you can see that it mixes very well with the eyes, so this allows for a lot of options in building. Here's another example of a block that looks very good with other blocks. You can see the granite and the glazed terracotta look pretty good together. The color is a bit brighter than the granite, but it gives a lot of texture to the block. And that's exactly why I made this texture pack, to improve the building experience, to make sure that every block in the game has a use in building. And I can go on and on about what colors you can mix with these blocks, but I advise you to just experiment yourself. Try and work these blocks into every build you can, and I'm gonna promise you it will look great. And of course, you can join our Discord. The link will be in the description, and you can show me what you've been able to create with them. And I would really love to see what you guys come up with using these textures. Okay, now that we're done with the blocks, we're gonna move on to the items. There have been some items changed in the pack. A lot of the item textures in the pack are just the 1.14 textures, but there are also a lot of items that have had texture changes. So let's start off with armor. As you can see here, and you will see this on almost all armor and weapon items, the items don't have like a black border around them. They're very smooth. Here you can see the armor in the pack, and you can also see an emerald block with coming soon. So that's a future update. It's gonna come very soon. There will be emerald armor and so many more types of armor in the texture pack. So stay tuned for that. Okay, let's also look at the items. You can see the items in the game have these black borders around them, and in the pack they're very smooth and they look very nice. Oops. Okay, so that chest broke. But let's move on to weapons and tools. As you can see, it's the same thing as with the armor. Okay, let's move on to the last set of items. Here we have some gold items. As you can see, the horse armor, the clock, like the gold nugget, they all have the same gold color as the gold block does in the pack. Then we have iron. The compass also has the same iron color as the iron in the pack. And moving down, leather is a very different color. It fits the color of books now, and the saddle has also had its color changed. Also, glowstone dust has a bit of a change, and of course the wood items are the same as the tools, where they have the smooth borders. So I'm gonna switch to the game textures now. Okay, now we're looking at the game textures. You can see the leather has a very different color. The glowstone dust is a bit different, and the compass and the clock don't match the color of the iron and the gold in the game. Okay, those were all the blocks and items. Now let's look at some of the GUI changes. As you can see on the bottom, like the selection tool has changed to a blue color, and you're gonna see this blue color a lot in the GUI. You're gonna see this in the advancement tab. As you can see, the completed advancements have blue colors. Also, the backgrounds of the advancement tabs have changed. Okay, I've switched to survival. As you can see, the hearts have changed, and the XP bar also has the same blue color that we see a lot. Okay, now those were most of the GUI changes. There are a lot more, but they're very unnoticeable. Also, there are quite some changes to some particles, but I'm not going to show those either because they're not very noticeable in the pack. So now that we've seen most of the blocks, most of the items, and most of the GUI changes, let's continue to some special texture pack items, which you cannot get in the game itself. Okay, now this is my favorite part about this texture pack. Um, it was update 2.0, the connected texture update. If you've played with a lot of texture packs, you probably already know what connected textures are, but I'm still going to quickly explain it. Okay, so here we have granite, diorite, and andesite, and as you can see, they have this brick block, like the normal brick texture that you would get from the brick blocks. Now, you cannot get these textures in the game, so you might wonder, how are they in the pack? Okay, now in order to get these blocks, you are gonna have to be using Optifine. So if you're not using Optifine, you cannot get these blocks in the game. So let's start off by showing how they work. Over here we have polished granite. Now when I take a brick block and I put it next to the polished granite, you can see that all of the sides of the block that are facing each other will change to the granite brick texture. Now if I place another granite here, you can see that the whole wall has now changed. If I break this one, you can see that these don't connect anymore. And that is because these are the bricks, these are the granite blocks, and only the sides that are facing each other will change. So if we make a granite circle like this, and I place this block in the middle, you can see that everything changes. But if we look at the sides and the top, they don't change because there's not a connecting face to them. Okay, so knowing this, let's go over all of the blocks. We have granite, polished diorite, polished andesite, stone bricks. We have a block of quartz, which also changes. Of course, every block that I'm going to show right here needs to be connected to bricks. Okay, now we have the purple block. We have prismarine blocks and stone bricks. And then we have the sandstone brick and the normal sand brick. I mean the red sandstone brick and the sand brick. So those are all of the bricks that you can get in the pack at the moment. Remember that you're gonna have to use this brick block and then connect the textures that you want to them. All of these special blocks add a lot of building options to the pack. Like let's say you're gonna make a cool wall over here. It's a pretty plain wall, but now I only add one brick block and you can see the whole wall changes. It looks totally different and it looks very cool. This adds a lot of building options in the pack. So just like with the glazed terracotta, if you make something cool with this, please join our Discord in the description and just show us what you've done. We love to see all of the builds that come out of this. Okay, let's move on to the next set of blocks, which are some stone blocks. As you can see, we have a diorite furnace. Now, how this is done, you are gonna need two polished diorite blocks to connect to this furnace in order for the whole texture to be changed. You do not need this third one. That was just for building purposes. Now you can see if I place the bottom block and I place my furnace on top, all of the sides change because these sides of the blocks are facing each other. They're connected to each other. But if we look at the top, it doesn't change because the top isn't connected to the diorite block below. The same with every block again. It's a bit clearer to see on this one. You can see that the top doesn't change because it's not connected. That's why you're gonna need two blocks on the furnaces, one in the back. Now you can see everything changes. But there is one problem to this. Usually you want your furnace to be on a wall. Now let's just make a wall, and you can see that the block isn't connected anymore because the block on top is blocking the connections of the faces. Now how are you gonna fix this? It's actually quite simple. If we take let's just take, where is it? Let's just quickly take glass. If we take a transparent block in the game, like for example glass, or I'm going to show you some other examples later, you can see that the faces don't get broken because transparent blocks, they don't break the connection. Now, there's one very nice block that has just been added to Minecraft 1.14 that you can use here, and that is polished granite stairs. If I put the stair like this, you're gonna see the faces don't get broken because this is a transparent block. But also, you will not notice that it's a stair from this side because the back of the stair just looks like a full block. And this is how you can very nicely use all of the connected textures by mixing them with some transparent blocks, and you can hide your connection blocks like behind walls using, of course, the transparent blocks. Now, if you want a floor around your furnace, you get the same problem where the front doesn't connect anymore because the block is unconnected. And of course, you can do the exact same trick here, where you just take your granite slab, you put it, and there you go. There you have your furnace. But let's say you don't want a block on the ground. Maybe you have grass on the ground, and grass cannot be connected. Of course, this makes it a bit harder because there's no grass slabs. Now, what you can do here, this is a nice trick. You can take some string and a carpet. Let's just take a brown carpet because it's grass. We can put the carpet on the string and you will still see it still stays connected because these are both non-transparent blocks. And there's a lot of more options of non-transparent blocks that you can use. Like I said before, you can use the glass, so you might have a window behind your furnace, and you can like, so you might want to have a window behind your furnaces and all of that stuff. So this adds a lot of options in buildings. You can have a lot of different colored furnaces. And just to show you, they also work when they are on. You can see it starts burning and the color will still be the granite color. Now moving on, you might have already seen it. We have more ores and more mossy stones. Now again, this works with connected textures. If I remove this and this, you can see the block will be a regular ore block again. Now if I put one under, the top will not change, of course, because they're not touching each other, but the sides will. And the same with the mossy stone. If you place a granite next to a mossy cobblestone, the granite will become mossy. Now this works with every ore. So it's not only these three ores, it works with every ore. And I'll quickly show you. Let's take some ore. As you can see, it works with multiple ores at the same time, of course. But if you place an ore next to another ore that has been connected, of course this will not work because the ore has to be connected to the diorite block. So if I place a new block right here, it is gonna work again. It's sad that the sides don't change with the block, but there's no way to fix this. So in some cases, it might look a bit weird that the sides don't change, but it's not really that big of a problem. Now this looks very cool in caves, when you're caving and you find some granite iron, or some like diorite diamond. It's just very refreshing to come across this, and that's what makes it fun. In building, there's not much use for these blocks, but it does add a lot of fun. Okay, now moving on, we have bookcases. And these were the very first connected textures in the pack, but they're definitely one of the best. As you can see, if I have bookcases over here, and it works the same as with every connected texture, I place my log or my plank next to it, and all the bookcases around it change with it. And this looks very cool in builds. There's one slight problem, the top, it's a bit weird but that's because of the way I configured it, and I sadly cannot change that. So I advise you to like place your connected blocks on top or below, or just again take some carpet, put it on your blocks, and then you will not notice how the top has this weird texture. Oh. Move on. Here we have crates, which now that barrels are in the game, these aren't really useful anymore, but I think they still look pretty cool. If you take a bark block, or a wood block as they're called, and you place a note block on top of them, you will get a crate with the corresponding wood type. So as you can see, this one has oak logs, this one has spruce, birch, dark oak, acacia, and jungle. Okay, last but not least, we have colored redstone lamps. And these are pretty cool. They can really help bring a place to life, just adding these colors. You can use them for like warning signals, Like maybe have a red lamp that's flickering as a warning signal, or a green lamp where things are okay. So you can use this in some futuristic builds, but you can also use it in like old style builds. You can have the darker lamps. So there's really a lot of creativity with them. These aren't all the colors in the game, but the lamps do work with every color. I've just decided to show this selection. Now the block to use for this is, and you do have to power the lamp. If I unpower it, you will see it goes back to its regular color. And those were all of the special blocks currently in the game. There will be more in the future, as well as, of course, like I showed you before, armor and items. Now, our last part of this video will be a couple of mobs. As you can see here, we have pigs and brown pigs. We have three types of chicken. We have a bright brown chicken, a bit of a darker brown chicken, and the white chicken. We have also three types of cows. You can see here's a bit of a black cow, the normal brown cow, and a cow with a lot less white spots on its body. Now we also have one more thing with mobs, and that is biome specific zombie textures. Okay, so here we are in a jungle next to a savanna, so I can show you the jungle zombie first. As you can see, it has this very brown skin, and it has green eyes with a golden necklace. These look pretty cool when you find a jungle temple with these zombies in it. They really fit the style of the jungle. Now when we get to the savanna, we have a farmer zombie, um, which also looks very nice and it mixes very well with the biome. Now the snowy biomes have um, this type of zombie with a bit of a cold green skin, and it has this winter outfit. Okay, now the last zombie that we're gonna take a look at is the swamp zombie, and this one's a bit of a joke. As you can see, it has the Shrek outfit, and I think almost everyone knows who Shrek is, and that he lives in the swamp. So this one's just a bit of a joke, but I still think the zombie looks pretty cool in this outfit. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I've arrived in a cave now, and I found some of the connected ore blocks. As you can see, they look pretty cool in caves, as well as the varying blocks. They look pretty nice. It adds a lot of variation in caves. You can see them down here as well. And I've actually just found a mob spawner. Nice. Now, if we look at mountains and such from a distance, you can notice that the stone actually has a couple of darker tints to them. So this also adds a lot of texture to mountains and stuff. Okay, now I've showed most of the things that you can expect from this texture pack. Of course, there's download links down below. When you download the pack, make sure that you download it from my Discord or from the Planet Minecraft. Every other copy you find online isn't a official copy of the texture pack, and it might not contain every update that has come out. So make sure to download the official versions that were uploaded by me. Of course, there will be texture pack updates after this video, and the things that are new in those updates won't be in this video. So make sure to check the channel. There should probably be a playlist that shows you every update that has come out for the pack. But that was everything I was going to show you for this overview. If you liked it, then make sure to give the video a like and stay tuned for more updates. See you later.